Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market. This is our daily show from Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. GMT, every day of the week, where we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. I'm your host, Bichak. I'm joined by my legendary co-host, Legendary, and we're going to get into everything that's been happening in the NFT market in the last 24 hours. But before we do that, just a reminder, friends, nothing that we say here is financial advice. This modern market is exceptionally risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. We are live on X. We are live on YouTube. It is Friday, Legendary. How are you feeling?
GM. I'm in a good mood for two reasons. First of all, we did a bit of math this morning to figure out the number of the Modern Market Show, the number of the episode that we are on, and we realized this is the 192nd show. So we're only 2 weeks away to hit number 200. And I also love spaces like this when we start with some of our best friends on the stage from the get-go. So, and it's Friday. 3 reasons actually to be in a good mood.
Absolutely love it. I'm not going to lie to you. When I asked you earlier, because obviously we're working on YouTube stuff, I'm working on the thumbnails. I think it would be cool to have the number of episodes that we're on, like as a recurring thing. So every single day, people will be able to see what episode it is. When I asked you the question, how many is it? You could have told me any number. The thought of, I mean, I know it's not even that complicated, right? Because we basically haven't missed a show. We missed a few around Christmas, I think. So all it is to do is multiply the number of weeks. Multiply the number of weeks by 5. Yeah, that's all we had to do. And then minus the thing. But it's just, what an effort. Twitter's search function is so horrific that I couldn't figure out when. Like, I've tried to search for it before. Like, when was our exact
I
first
looked it up on Super Spaces. They have the historical data because I know I hosted the first one back then still on my personal account when we started.
Got it.
And then Google actually has a beautiful query for that. You just have to ask how many days since a given date, like May 8th in our case. And then you just have the days and deduct the weekends and the spaces that we missed. And this is how I arrived at the beautiful number of 192 shows.
Well, that sounds like a smarter approach than what I was attempting. I think, yeah, got to lean into this tech to get some of these answers. I was thinking of counting back manually if it really if it really came to it, because it's an important number. It's an important number. So almost 200. That means we are 8 away, I think, from what you just said. And Legendary, we spoke a couple of days ago. We said that we have gone past 1,000 followers. I believe you lost a bet that we made. You said we were going to have it by the end of January. I said before, and we hit it on the 30th of January. And the end of January is the 31st of January. So I think you lost the bet, if my maths adds up.
No, it doesn't. I won that bet clearly. End of January.
Of January is the 31st of January, from what I can tell.
We didn't say the last day of January. We said end of January, which is a broader, more vague time frame, which it perfectly hit with the 30th.
When would you say the end of this show is?
That's a different question, though.
1 p.m. 12:50.
Yeah, let's say the show ends at the 50-minute mark, for the sake of winning my bet and for the sake of my argument.
I'm so happy I came up with that example just off the cuff. Absolutely got you. I was scrambling around a little bit, though, if I'm being completely honest. That was a great example for me. Look, we want to provide some value rather than just dunk on each other at the start of the show. Key question, Legendary, before we get into all the headlines that some people have been asking us to some extent, is how are we keeping track at the moment? Yesterday or a couple of days ago, we spoke about being overwhelmed, how we were overwhelmed at the start of the month. Now we're in the phase where it's like, right, these airdrops are rolling in. Like, there's been so much stuff happening already. A lot of like moving around of funds, going from different places. A lot of airdrops coming in, maybe redepositing somewhere else, maybe forgetting about them for a little bit and finding it. How are you keeping track? What's your system, if you indeed have one?
I I do have a system. I mean, I feel like on the ETH side of things, it's not that difficult, right? If you use stuff like Rebbe, if you use wallet trackers like Zerion, etc., they're super helpful. Like I remember when many people checked out Rebbe for the first time, or was it also Rainbow Wallet, and they found like, oh fuck, I still have a pending optimism claim, which they completely weren't aware of. That is perfectly fine. And Rebbe helped me to realize I still have a position on Metis that actually did quite well, that I completely had forgotten about. So that side of things works. I feel like with Solana, and I know there is Asset Dash as a portfolio tracker, but that only works to a very limited extent. Like it only shows some of your liquidity pools, and on that side of things, on the Solana side of things, I find it way harder. For example, when I check Asset Dash, I can see my Camino, I can see my Meteor liquidity, I can see some of my NFTs, but what I can't see is that I have deposited a couple grand in Parcel. It just shows me that I have like the Parcel NFT, but it doesn't track everything. So what I basically resorted to do is to kind of create a 3-tier system in my head. With tier 1 is like I have a lot of money tied to something, or I think it's super relevant to keep on track, and I just try to like frequently check in and don't miss an update. Then there's a second tier where I'm like, okay, if I miss a news there, it's probably not going to be that critical, and I'm fine with it. Like for example, with Parcel, I missed that there was a bonus snapshot for NFT holders. I just realized today that I got 15% extra points, which is pretty cool. But like, okay, I now have the info a week later than everyone else who probably was more on track on it than I was. And then there's things where I'm like, I really can't find the time to keep on top of that. And I'm also not really sure what's going on with the project, but I know I should be aware of that. And those are typically the things that I then sell, because if an asset just creates that kind of pressure by having it, and you don't really want to track it, but you should, then this, for me, in my mind, constitutes a sell, because it's just something that I can't have on my plate anymore.
Very interesting. I would definitely take note of what Legendary has to share. He's been doing this stuff in particular with regards to airdrops since 2021. For the people who don't know, one of the main reasons he caught my attention when we first met. He spoke about his knowledge about that. And back in 2021, I had no idea about any of this stuff. So I basically educated myself with Legendary's help as we built out various things together back in 2021. And so he's been at this for a very long time, way longer than me. So I'm definitely curious, and I think it's very helpful to hear his perspective on it. From my perspective, I'm obviously a bit more, how would we describe it? I'm a bit more
structured,
anal than you about these various things. And so I have a spreadsheet, I have a to-do list written on a piece of paper as well. And the way that I do it, this is what I do. And I agree with you that there's certain positions that you might enter and you're just like, okay, it's not worth writing that down. Actually, I don't know. I think I do end up writing them all down, but I keep the spreadsheet first. So the spreadsheet of like all the opportunities, there's one tab for that. Then there's like the positions that you take. So like one, there's the potential opportunities on one tab. Then there's a spreadsheet of like what positions I have actually taken. And then obviously that's in the computer somewhere. But then if there's like anything actionable that needs to be done or needs to be remembered within the next 5 days, I'll put that in my book, because I don't look at the spreadsheet every day. I hate looking at the spreadsheet, frankly. I go to the book, and that's where I know what I'm doing every day. Because if I don't have my book, I literally don't know what I'm doing today without the book. And actually, on the to-do list, which is split out into 4 sections, since we're on the topic, the first section is snapshot, modern market, things to do. Second section is trades. The third section is admin. And then I've actually got a different section to remind me who my clients are, who I've invested in, and any potential partners I want to go for. So that's like a double page in an A4 book. And then the things that are like urgent for the day are highlighted. So out of all of the various airdrop things and things that we're like looking at, there are only 3 things that are in the book right now, because I think there's like something actionable to do. One is alt layer, because I have to claim that still and I have to sell it or do something with it. So that's like in the book because that's like happening right now. Jupiter was on there also because I had to claim it and do something with it. So I've claimed that now. It's going to stay there because I haven't sold it and I will need to sell it. And I've got Dimension because I know Dimension is coming in the next, I don't know, few days or something. So those are the only three that are actually written down in the book. All the other stuff is in the spreadsheet, and I'm probably like not even thinking about it, frankly, because I can't cope. Any thoughts, reflections on that, Legendary? I see Kalano with his hand raised. Would love to hear his reflections, how he's keeping on top of everything, running a very successful business and participating in crypto at the same time. Legendary first.
I find that super impressive that you managed to put everything into a spreadsheet, because I don't know how you find the time or dedication. It's not the time you can find, but the dedication and consistency to do it. Like, I find that super impressive, and I was often thinking to do that myself. And then I just had a look currently on one of my wallets on Rabby, and I see I have funds across 14 chains and across more than 150 different tokens. And there's just one wallet with stuff, and that's not counting NFTs, not counting investments. So I'm like, nah, if I start doing a spreadsheet now, probably going to be done by May, and probably then all the opportunities would have passed. So I think I missed the time to start doing a spreadsheet. It's way beyond that for me.
Look, there's one way to do the spreadsheet, and there's one huge reason to do the spreadsheet, or one big opportunity that I see. This is my thesis. Well, first, how do you do it? I learned this thing when I was teaching. I'm a big believer of this. If something's going to take you less than 2 minutes to do, you can just do it straight away. So it's not that I'm like, doing a spreadsheet doesn't actually take very long because it's just logging the thing that you did at the time that you're doing it. So it's definitely not letting it all accrue and then trying to create a system, because that is a really big task. Whereas doing something and just making a log of it, that takes 20 seconds at the end of it. Although in your head, it does still feel kind of annoying. So that was how the process. But in terms of why I think it's so important, this is a bigger idea. I'd never discussed this with anyone. I hope it's helpful. I think we're like genuinely at the cutting edge of two things. For me, NFT lending, I think, is such a big deal. I think it's going to transform finance. I think it's going to be the way that assets are valued in future will be like the sturdiness and quality of an asset will be determined by the value you're able to borrow against it. When everything goes on chain, you'll be able to see all this perfect price history, and the top assets will have the highest loan to value, and you'll be able to see all of that data. So I think NFT lending is going to completely change finance. I want to have something logged to show people in the future. And I don't know if other people know, but I'm working with like one of the top law firms in the world. I'm writing some content for them. I do talks to corporates in London. I want to be able to show them that at some point in time in like 2027, I want to be able to show them like, this is what I was doing back in 2024. Because I've sent them a screenshot before of like my Pudgy Penguin loans, which are earning like 0.01 per day, which is great, but they don't get that. They're not understanding. They're not able to digest that screenshot where it looks like a game and I've got these random penguins and they're earning me money. So it needs to be in a spreadsheet form. And I think being able to communicate that with other people will actually be the big opportunity. What do you think of that, Legendary? Then we're going to go to Kalano.
Yeah, in principle, you're right, and all the documentation is beautiful. I guess my copium is that all of that is on the blockchain, and I can reference that in the future. I feel like this is the way that I found to cope for myself, because I don't have a beautiful spreadsheet to track it. And of course, it gets annoying when you do your taxes. Well, I mean, I have my taxes being done for me because I can't do them myself any longer. But in the beginning, when I did them, that was annoying, because you remember that, right? When we went through that period in 2022, 2023, when I was like basically gone for 6 weeks doing a spreadsheet and trying to figure out what I did 2 years before.
Yeah.
But this is my copium now. Everything is on blockchain. I will be able to reference it like that.
Yeah, the thing is, none of it works though. Like when you're in the blast pool, it's very difficult. So point taken though, it is definitely a bit of a task. Kalano, welcome to the stage, my friend. For the people who don't know, Kalano is a fantastic, let Let me just check his description so I describe him properly. Building the reply guy.xyz, ghostwriter for Web3 thought leaders, awesome writer, also participant in the ecosystem. Kalano, what are your thoughts on this discussion?
Yeah, I relate way more to Legendary than you, unfortunately, and I would like, in theory, relate to you more than Legendary. So, for my personal business, I use Notion a lot, and if I don't put things in the calendar or in Notion, you can best believe that it's going to be out of my mind and will never come back. So I do have some sort of system for my day-to-day business. When it comes to airdrop, I'm going to be honest, I am slacking real hard right now in terms of tracking anything. So, the question was, are we going to get a freebie 200 episode celebration spreadsheet shared in the snapshot newsletter or something like that? Because personally, I would highly benefit from that. To be honest, I am tracking absolutely nothing right now, and only my memory is my savior. Which, to be honest, is probably not. I'm going to miss out on claiming some money eventually if it hasn't happened already, and I will only have myself to blame. So yeah, when freebie. And also, I had a question. I've seen someone share recently an on-chain thing to track all your airdrops and all that stuff. So is that real? And do you know anything about it? And where can I sign up to something like that if it exists?
I'm happy to take that. The question part that is not the freebie, not the template. This is one you have to figure out with B. There are a couple of tools, like EarnDrop is one of them. EarnDrop is the tool by Olympio. Basically works like that. You pay for a subscription. You have a set amount of wallets that you can plug in, and you will get notified when there is an airdrop for you to claim. And it also has guides and stuff like that. That's on the one hand. And then there's also Linity, which is not, I don't think it has a wallet tracker like EarnDrop, but it's more of a paid resource to access all the current airdrop opportunities with tutorials and timely updates when there's new quests or new things to do. Personally, I've been trying both of them and been using both of them, but I do find a wallet tracker that just makes you aware of certain claims pretty helpful, because you would miss some of the smaller things. One more addition to that, what I've seen with Jupiter, and probably everyone in the audience who had the claim has seen that using Phantom, which is pretty cool, is that you got like that notification in the wallet that says, hey, you have the Jupiter airdrop coming. With Rabby, we've seen that it also is able on Rainbow Wallet as well to show you like pending airdrops that you haven't claimed yet. So I think this will become more of a broader feature, but I do think that a wallet tracker for airdrops specifically like EarnDrop is helping, or is helpful if you have more wallets or more airdrops that you are farming and might be forgetting about.
Very good stuff. Kalana, I've just replied to Rune Lord's question in the comments, who asked, would love to see BCheck spreadsheet template. I just shared it in the comments to that question. It's not literally the spreadsheet, but it's screenshots of the spreadsheet. And yeah, I mean, I write about it in the newsletter. I write about it on the timeline. So you can see a variety of things there. Also, there's some of the links in our Discord. So, and I'm pretty sure you're in there. So if you need to get to anything quickly, you can go through that. So yeah, all kinds of opportunities everywhere. The question is not knowing, actually. The question is not knowing. It's not the knowledge, it's the doing. That is the big takeaway. Final point on this, Jack. Quick one, because we want to get into all of the headlines in just a moment. Let's get it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm with Legendary and Clono on this one. I've even started to look at like actual systems that help with just tracking day to day, because there's so many opportunities, so many things to do in this space right now. And so I came across this Build a Second Brain. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but it's essentially you like split it into 4 different tasks: projects, areas, resources, and archives. There should never be more than like 10 or 15 like direct projects that you're working on at one time. And then areas are like the things that you're not focusing on right now, but you will focus on in the future. Resources are just things that link to both those projects and areas. And then archive is just the things that you've done in the past in case you have to refer to them in the future, because a lot of this space is cyclical. But my God, like the action part of it, my first project is to reread the the actual book for building a second brain, because I'm already completely lost and I've got so many projects areas booked. So it got completely out of control. I need the alpha here on like how we actually put all this together, because my ADD brain is just not going for it right now.
Yeah, I think one of my key thoughts, and we're going to get into the headlines right now, but my final thought on it is overthinking, over conceptualizing is not good. For example, if I did all these spreadsheets, like in some ways, it doesn't really matter whether you take my approach and do the spreadsheet and do the stuff, or Legendary's approach, which is F the spreadsheets, just do it. The most important thing is to do it. And Legendary does it. So he doesn't need my approach at all. Like, it's a complete waste of time for him to be doing it, frankly, because he actually just does it. So if that's not working for you because you don't do it, then you can try the spreadsheet thing. But if you're just doing the spreadsheet thing and then you're still not doing it, then it's still not going to work. So in the end, this is about what you need to do in order to do what's going to help you do stuff. That's the absolute key thing. Ultimately, the strategy doesn't matter, it's just what you like as a person. Right. Let's get into the headlines. We want to get into everything that's happened in the past 24 hours. As always, this information is brought to you by me. It's in the snapshot. It's pinned up top, and I write it in the morning, and I wrote this morning. If you do find that it brings you some value today, please do give it a like. Let's get into it, starting with the price action. We've got Bitcoin up a couple of percent at $43,000, ETH at 2.3K, up a couple of percent, Solana at 101, up 6%, Ape at 1.4, NFT volume is at 11.1 on ETH, Solana at 5.8, Bitcoin at 10.7. Headlines. Number one, Andrew Tate proposes his own crypto coin, which he could back with 100 million and never sell. Are we a buyer? Are we ignoring Legendary? That question is coming to you just in one moment. So please do prepare. Number two, largest pudgy penguin holder is long, $5 million worth of penguins on 2 to 3x leverage. Are there any implications for that for the market? We'll get into that in a second. Number three, Animoca Brands announces launch of OC100, a competition to showcase best creators in Web3. We haven't focused on the kind of creator economy side much in the show recently. Want to get into that, see what it means in just a moment. Getting into some floor prices, we've got CryptoPunks at 61 ETH, up 1%. Bored Apes at 24.3, Mutants at 4.3, DGods at 2.9, Captains at 4.5, Azuki's flat at 6.4, Penguins also flat 15.7, Moonbirds 1.1, Noun's winning bid was at 7.8 ETH. Market seems fairly flat there on the NFT side. One huge Doodle sale, the Doodle Cat sold for 50 ETH, that's $116,000, and a 3D glasses CryptoPunk sold for 92 ETH, that is $213,000. Legendary, that is the price action. Those are the headlines. Any numbers standing out to you there?
Definitely the doodle sweep that we've seen on the Grail side of things over the last 2 days. I think NFT Stats pointed out that Blondie has continued to buy doodle grails, added the cat, added the ice cream cone, and has a total recent spend on doodle grays above 100 ETH.
Yes. Pretty crazy. What do you think the buy thesis for doodles is right now? Do you think this person just absolutely loves doodles? Is there a reason to be buying doodles right now?
I mean, they did have a nice movement over the last couple of weeks and on nice
sure.
up movement. I haven't been tracking the news. Gotta be completely honest. When Doodles came out, it was like one of those brands that like never connected me. I was like, I don't like the visuals at all. But it's the only brand where this has changed like completely. Now I look at them and I love them, and I'm like watching the blur market all the time because I want to pick up my first couple of doodles. And this has never happened with me before. Like typically when I see something, whether that's, you know, a watch, fashion, a car, whatever it is, an NFT, a JPEG, I know if I like it or not. And that typically doesn't change. But this is like for the first time that I saw like a complete 180 in my taste preference happen. And I don't know why. Like I'm still reflecting on figuring out the reason behind that, because I just would like to understand it out of, you know, my own curiosity to understand myself.
Very interesting. I don't know why that happens. That's pretty funny. Yeah, very interesting. Let's see whether you can pick one up then. I know you've been lending against one, trying to get some doodles exposure. Right, let's get into the headlines, kicking it off with the first headline of the day. Number one, Andrew Tate proposes his own crypto coin, which he could back with $100 million and potentially never sell. I'm going to show this take from Beanie. We'll read the tweet. We'll share Beanie's take on it. And just to note, I believe this tweet has been deleted since. So Andrew Tate said, tweeted this, hey, crypto Twitter, if I launch a coin and back it with 100 million of my own money and never sell, then I'll let university.com members get in early at a discount. And then because I'm the most famous man alive, I'll promote it everywhere, let you all make money. And then the tweet goes on, but I can't see it because it's been deleted. Beanie's take was this: all the make money online gurus end up in crypto. Gary Vee, Kevin Rose, Alex Becker, and now Andrew Tate. They make more money in crypto than selling courses because they're great marketers. Marketing is what matters in crypto. Not a Tate fan, but will buy the token because the number will go up. Legendary, what are your initial thoughts? First on the very simple idea, which is he's going to launch a coin, back it $100 million with his own money, and just never sell, and then let his university members get in early. I have no idea whether this is like a legal proposition. What do you think of that idea first?
I think we've seen more complex Ponzi's in this space. I think it's a very, very blunt approach. I quite, I'm quite amused by it because Andrew Tate has been very vocal against cryptocurrencies and being like, this is only for nerds, yada, yada, yada. But I very much resonate with Beanie's points that you have so many people who are shilling your courses on YouTube, coaches, etc., and they all moved into crypto. Some of them just to extend their business, some of them because they realize they can just sell better in the Web3 space, because after all, it is a marketing game. And when I read that announcement or that post by Tate, it kind of reminded me of the Donald Trump situation from a very personal standpoint, where I was like, Trump NFTs are coming out. I know they're going to print. I personally don't want them in my wallet. I don't want to make this a political discussion. I was like, I don't want them, so I'm going to miss out on this profit and not buy them. I'm not a big fan of Andrew Tate, and you can apply the same logic. My numbers going up if he does it like that. Likelihood is probably pretty high of that it works, at least in the short term. The long run, I don't think this is going to be generational wealth opportunity. The question is, do you want to do that? Or do you care where you put your money in? Like the Romans used to say, pecunia non olet, money doesn't smell. And you can either follow that or you can have a different point of view on that. And I'm probably going to hold back and not buy that coin if it ever is to come out.
Got it. Legendary is a no. Jack, your hand raised pretty quickly. We've got some other hands as well. We've got BSCN Gaming with a take. Funky, Kalano, we're going to get round to you. Jack first.
I can't believe Legendary said it, but then I guess, it probably was the first thing that came to a lot of people's minds, which is definitely the Trump NFT. I know Beanie, referenced a bunch of people who've already been in the space, from Kevin Rose to Gary Vee, but it definitely feels more polarizing than that. I think Tate, we're all crypto virgins here. He's been very, very, very vocal about that. He's done videos on it. I think we had a situation where, a token was created based off of something he said. Turns out it had nothing to do with him, and he went on a very vocal rant when he saw these people make millions off just some random word that he said that ended up being generated as a token. So I'm with them. I'm not with Legendary in terms of if I'm going to sit on the sidelines. I don't give a fuck if it's gonna print. Then I'm gonna be involved in that. There's not that many like clear wins, and if this turns out to be one of them, then I am 100% gonna be in and just see what the fuck happens with it. But it's gonna be the easiest sell of my life. There's gonna be no emotional connection to this thing at all. So I definitely need to live by that a little bit more. So we'll see how that goes. But for me, it's very much like a Trump-esque play. I think it'll do very, very well. It's just about making sure you get out early enough.
Very, very interesting. The way I was thinking about it was more like in terms of the actual dynamic. And I know people probably would just want to talk about like buy or sell or buy or ignore. But if you back something with a certain amount of money, I mean, this is not the same comparison as you guys have been making, but what it reminded me of, and I don't know if this is correct, but you know how loads of people will just send tokens to Vitalik? So I'm thinking about it from a completely different perspective, but they'll just send like a ton of tokens to Vitalik. And then with those tokens gone there, they know, or they thought at least, that, okay, those are locked up. They're locked up. That person's not going to sell. Therefore, the token can moon. And so from that perspective is how I was thinking here, where it's like, okay, this is the person who's, going to have a certain allocation backed with a certain amount and just refuse to sell. And then that just infuses everyone with the confidence to just make it go absolutely crazy, because they know that initial person isn't going to dump on their head. So that was where my mind was going in terms of its thinking. BSCN Gaming, welcome to the stage with us for your second or third time, I believe. Welcome. What are your thoughts here?
Hello, good afternoon. Always love your spaces. Often just sit in the listeners and digest all of it, but this time I was urged to come in. I think we've actually forgotten a large part of the crypto space. This used to be a really big discussion back when Ethereum was coming into the scene, and that's the element of social tokens. And when you look at it, most tokens are social tokens, whether it's a proof of work or a proof of stake or a meme coin or some sort of NFT. These are all socially orientated first and foremost around a cause or trying to bring people in towards something. And this Andrew Tate thing is just another iteration of that. I think cynicism is due, which is great, because we've seen so many of these initiatives over the last years, whether it was Mayweather or some other profiled celebrity in the previous cycle. So there's that, but I think there's been an awful lot of experimentation, and we now know what works and what doesn't work. So in that sense, it's interesting when you have someone of this size and caliber putting apparently his weight and mouth behind it. That's something that needs to be watched closely. So interested. I want to see where this goes. I'm agnostic. I don't care whether it's bullish or bearish. I'm just interested in see what happens.
I really, really like that point. Two things I like about it. One, the point of making that of social tokens. I think that's very, very important to bear in mind. And the second thing, I love how you just took out all of the politics about it and just kind of spoke about it detached from anything about the personality of the person. I think sometimes that can cloud judgment either way. And I think, yeah, I mean, whether you agree with someone or whether you disagree with someone, it is interesting if they're going to come on chain and use the technology that we're obsessed with or over and over again. So thanks for that take. Funky, what are you thinking here?
Super quick. Just for one, what he's saying is the ultimate trust me, bro, which, we all have seen many times over in crypto. And then I really just a question. Is Greta going to buy the coin? That's all I really want to know.
I mean, that would be bullish, I suspect.
If it says carbon neutral in the white paper, maybe she might.
Yeah, if they launch on what's the most sustainable chain these days? What's your chain, Funky, that you're always on?
Believe it or not, Polkadot is the most green. I think it's the most energy efficient chain and network. So
get it on Polkadot, and Greta will be buying. Done deal. Kalano, what are your thoughts here, my friend?
Yeah, I think the part we're missing here is, the pre-sale effectively will be available to the people who are part of his course effectively, right? So in my opinion, it's actually, there is a question of, will this token actually launch? But what is certain is that the influx of people signing up for his monthly university, which he's now bought for more than his last Bugatti, is actually going to spike just due to speculation. And I think that's pretty where he's looking to make the bulk of his money. And that could even be funding the actual liquidity for this token.
Yeah, very, very good point.
And we've seen that marketing strategy work out before. I feel Gary V executed that perfectly back with, I absolutely don't remember how the book was called, but I know I have 50 of them in my bedroom, still trying to give them away, where you got like one NFT or whatever it was if you purchased the book, and that made the book a global bestseller. So we've seen that strategy work out very well before.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? If you ran the maths on those books, I wonder how much those books ended up funding a variety of the VFriends activity. Legendary, of those books, I got one of the top 10 rare books. literally.
What do you mean? The top? You got one of the top of the rarest NFTs from the book?
Yeah, as in I bought a bunch of books and I got one of the top 10 rarest ones, and I sold
Nice.
it.
What did you do with it?
I sold
You
it.
sold it?
Yeah.
Do you remember for how much?
It was like 16 ETH or something. It was like absolutely outrageous.
Oh, I love it.
Do you know, because it had like the best frame. It had like a golden hologram.
Oh yeah, the frames were the thing that we were hunting with those. Yeah, now I can remember.
Lord above, things were crazy in 2021. Okay. Look, I actually wanted to touch on a separate aspect of this because we're also going to be talking about the creator aspect when we go into the Animoca news. But the idea of selling courses, just a kind of quick question, Legendary. We are creators in some respect. We're constantly creating content. What people might not know is we've got like a big 2024 plan. I've got like various things on the agenda that we want to do. In my general opinion, I'm not as bearish on courses as some people seem to be. Some people seem to have like a very visceral reaction to courses where they're like, I don't know, I guess they just think all of them are scams. And I think there's actually a huge value to good courses in the same way that we take courses for things that are vocational. We take courses, I mean, we go to university, which is essentially a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year course. I think this, well, to be fair, I think university was largely a waste of time as well. But I think there are certainly valuable things that take place on courses. Why do you think courses have such a bad rep? And do you think anything course related in crypto would always be bad? Is there any saving this type of way to make money, particularly because we have so many creators? We are creators, so many other creators listening in. Is there any saving them? Is there a good way to do them?
No, it's a very, very good question. I mean, I'm probably one of the more critical persons when it comes to courses. I wouldn't say that like all of them are scams, but the majority certainly is. And I don't know, as someone who has, seen hundreds of drop shipping, Amazon, FBA, and God knows what kind of courses, YouTubers, all promoting the same kind of shit, all having the how I built a 17K a week business in 2 days with Amazon FBA kind of type of headlines is just pissing me off and I can't see them. It just doesn't mean that there are not good courses out there. I think there are excellent courses on crypto that help people onboard them, that help with wallet safety. I mean, we kind of did courses ourselves, if you want to put it like that, with the airdrop season, where we had like our weekly airdrop tutorials with opportunities for people to farm and walk them through step by step. But with the like how to make money courses, how to make millions in a week courses, like I know it is a bit of a like very simplistic way of thinking, but I often ask myself, if you make 3 million with courses in a week and you put that as a YouTube video and your YouTube video generates 17K views, which clearly only would make you a fraction of what you're supposed or allegedly doing with your whatever type of business model, then I'm like, why the fuck are you doing it? But that's obviously doesn't apply for everyone, but unfortunately it's often the loudest voices that are the most annoying ones, and they do give a bad rep to the whole courses industry. And I feel like the same about university. I mean, yes, I went to university, did my bachelor, my master's, my MBA, and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of it was a waste of time. And I know in crypto we tend to lean in the way, fuck university, that's not necessary. And it's not a prerequisite to be successful in the modern world, but I wouldn't say that per se going to university now is a bad thing, as we try to make it out in this space, and particularly very, very often, or at least that's my impression that I sometimes get on the timeline.
Interesting take. My thought is that, let me try and articulate this live while I'm thinking about it. I think saying courses are scams, which to be clear is not what you're saying, although I think they have a disproportionately bad reputation, is kind of like saying crypto is full of scams also. Like crypto is a scam, courses are scams. Like none of these things are scams, but there are terrible, terrible examples within those two industries which are scams. And it's like the messaging around it, the illegality behind it. Like if you're making outrageous claims for your course, or you're making outrageous claims for crypto, and there's also illegality in the way that you conduct yourself, then yes, that is a scam. However, people need to learn. Like people have a thirst for learning as well. I think the education market has shown that people will pay huge amounts in order to learn, and someone has to fill that gap. Now it's on you to find the right person, the right course. And yes, there'll be lots of bad people, and ultimately there'll be a lot of people who are not up to the challenge of providing you value over a course length. I think that is certainly true. There'll be a lot of people who don't meet that standard, but there will be some people, and maybe it's not that many people in the world. And that's why actually I think courses are such a potentially high value proposition, is because if you become the person who's genuinely, who has the combination of skills, that you genuinely have the experience, genuinely have the ability, and the ability to teach that onwards, that's, you know, you can take it all. You can absolutely sweep the floor. Reflections on that, Legendary? Then we've got a few more hands.
You're describing the precise issue with courses. Like if we reflect on, you know, what I just described with what we did with airdrop season, right? Our marketing tagline kind of was to say, hey, if you can, you know, follow Olympio and all the other airdrop KOLs on X, and you follow their tutorials, you probably don't need our NFT. You can do it yourself. If you can't, and you need step-by-step tutorials for accountability, you know, buy the NFT, go to our Discord and follow the tutorials, and you're going to have the airdrop opportunities. With every tutorial, we said, you know, they might do a token, there's no guarantee, there's smart contract risk, blah, blah, blah. We had risk paragraphs for every tutorial. We never promoted like, you know, buy this NFT and you have a high chance of making 50K plus over a year if you do all the tutorials with a good amount of volume, or, you know, this is the Gen Wealth NFT. And because we didn't promote it like that, it never was like a tremendous success from a financial standpoint. It was a tremendous success from the people that we met. It was a tremendous success from the own accountability that we built by just doing the tutorials ourselves.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we made more money off those airdrops that we just did by doing the tutorials than we did by selling the NFTs, because of the ethical way we chose to promote it. Now, if we were to promote it like super aggressively, like, you know, buy this NFT and you're probably going to make 50K plus, or you're going to make 50, cut the probably, right? Be on that like very, very aggressive marketing side, it would have been financially successful, because this is the kind of marketing that people are listening to. And that kind of describes what is kind of my main issue with courses. It's the loudest voices that use like the most shady advertising tactics that just cast a bad shade over like that whole educational industry, unfortunately.
Yeah, I completely take those points. But when I hear that, all I hear is that there are some people who are really bad actors and market in a very irresponsible way. I don't put that shade on the course. You know, the principle of the course, I think, is still.
No, I don't dispute that. It's like the same with crypto. You made the perfect analogy saying, you know, crypto is a scam because we have some scammy actors. It's obviously not the case, and it's not the case with courses either. It's just the public perception is skewed because of that.
Yeah. Interesting comments from Confusion in the comments. It says, disagree, courses in university is frankly a waste of time. Just do and learn from mistakes, in his opinion. So I agree with the first part. But again, I think, so my response to that, I responded there as well. It's just like, yeah, for me, uni was also a waste of time. I agree. And I do also think that learning, just doing and learning from your mistakes is better. And yet I still believe that there will be certain lecturers and certain lectures which would have been incredibly worth my time. I just didn't experience them, because I think that the combination of skills required to be that person who is able to take all your knowledge and experience and inspire the next generation, or, you know, even your peers, is so hard. It's so hard, but yeah, it's a very, very difficult thing. Confusion also said, have learned way more about economics from being in Web3 than I ever did from waste of time macroeconomics modules at uni. Look, I agree. And reading all these damn token design things and tokenomics papers, damn, that's a decent education as well. We have a few more comments. We're not going to be able to get onto all of these, by the way, because we're going to have to move on to the next headline, which is the Animoku stuff, and do the roundup. Just want to go to BSEN Gaming first for a quick thought. What are your thoughts here, my friend?
Yeah, I'll try and be honest and nice at the same time. It's a bit difficult. I'll try and stand on the fence again. I think the way to look at this, for me at least, is the same way that most normies look at the NFT space, and that is courses from the normal person's perspective are now just as tainted as NFTs were, and that's probably because of that same type of audience, social grifter audience or social grift fluencer audience. So previous decade we had the Ty Lopez's and stuff that kicked the course meta. This decade we had the Gary Vaynerchuk's that kicked the NFT meta. And from the normal person's lens, it's the same. It's like, oh, okay, bro, you've had these videos over the last 3 weeks. Now, are you leading me into an NFT sale? Whereas last decade it was, bro, you're going down that lens of selling me into a course, aren't you? I can smell it. It's coming. So we have that stigma within the NFT space. I think perhaps because we're in it, we don't see it that way. But if you speak to somebody on the outside, they definitely do. It's a stigma which I think is actually is well due, just because the reputations that have been built negatively in this space, like the biggest high profile actions, mischievous actions have happened, and they kind of give that space a bad name. You've seen the same within courses. Millions of dollars, millions and millions and millions of dollars of some of the largest social influencers over previous decades have just used that as some sort of top funnel marketing strategy to monetize their audience. I think interestingly, it ties into the Andrew Tate, who kind of has both. If you think about it, courses, education, now a token, which I think is funny.
Yeah, interesting how it could potentially all tie together. Who knows? Maybe like setting some new standard of how to make it all join up. Yes, I think it's. I agree with all of those points. It's a challenging one, but the main takeaway for me is I'm just very, very bullish when people are so clearly affected by all of the negative. Like, it's so good for me as a Spaces host. Well, we obviously go on YouTube as well, but as we like intend on planning things out more, to me it's so bullish that everyone's perception of course is so bad, because if we do one, it's going to be so good. And like the more bad stuff that exists, the better it is for me. And it's kind of what Sammy Suit in the comments just said: experience is the best teacher, but there are also bad teachers out there. Find and go for the good ones. Like, there will be good ones. And Confusion also made a point, and this will link us into the next headline. YouTubers and Spaces hosts are the new lecturers in some way. Like, and that links into this Animoca headline, because it's trying to figure out, like, look, in order, like, to educate the next generation on various things, this is the model that we're going in. The previous model seems to be broken, and people are not getting enough value out of it, and they're spending their time and attention in a completely different way. So there will be very, very bad examples of that, and there will be very good examples of it. And I think, at least at the beginning, the bad examples will outweigh the good, which provides the best people the biggest opportunity, because they'll be able to sweep the floor. That is my thinking. I want to get into the Web3 roundup to bring people up to speed with everything else that's been happening on the news. I'm sure Kalano, Funky, and Tiro, because we're essentially going to be talking about the same thing, just in a different angle with the Animoca news. Hopefully you'll be able to come in on that in just a moment. So let's get into the Web3 roundup, as always, from the snapshot, which is pinned up top to bring you up to speed with what else is going on in the space. Number one, Ferocious announces FIWO digital wearables are live. That's pretty cool. Haven't heard from them for a while. Season 1 is available now. You can exchange your flowers for FIWO digital wearables. That's pretty cool. Number two, Chimpa's Dojo Clash game goes live today. There'll be NFT prizes from multiple communities. Number three, Magic Eden to airdrop historic Solana users today with diamonds as part of the rewards program. Number four, AltLayer confirms the airdrop details for tier stakers. Remember, they dropped stuff for Eigenlayer stakers before, and now there's a nice little drop for tier stakers. Getting into some more news. Number one, Picasso and MarginFi collaborate to integrate MarginFi's LST for restaking. That's again leaning into the restaking narrative, but this time on Solana. Next, NFT Ethics doxes Fubar to widespread criticism. This was a strange one. Fubar is like a very well-respected dev and community person in crypto and NFTs, and the NFT Ethics account decided to fully dox them, which seems very strange, with a few accusations in there as well. I think that account has lost all credibility. Well, it did do a long time ago, but it still continues. And finally, Web3 gaming project Pixelmon raises $8 million seed round, backed by some absolute titans across the board, whether it's Animoca Brands from a company level, but also some very big angel investors. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to Julia, who joined us on the show, I think 2 days ago. Congratulations to Legendary, who's an ambassador for Pixelmon. Very good stuff across the board. Legendary, that is the Web3 roundup. Those are the headlines. Would you be able to change the title, or do you want to summarize what's going on with this OC 100 competition?
Happy to change the title. Quick side comment: I got a bit stressed when you mentioned it's the 2nd of February and it was the Magic Eden snapshot boosted to 100% loyalty, and I just checked if I did it, but I realized I did it, so I'm feeling all well again, and I'm ready to change the title and ask you to please set the AB news up for us.
Awesome. Right. So this is pretty cool. The Animoca brand announces launch of OC100. It's a competition to showcase best creators in Web3. There's 2 directions I want to take this. First, I'll explain what it is. Then we'll kind of think on, is this useful? Is it helpful? Why is it important? And we only have 5 minutes to do that. So here we go. OC100, a trailblazing contest. This is an article. It's up on YouTube for those watching. Shines a light on Web3's top thinkers. It's a joint venture by Open Campus, Forbes Web3, and Animoca Brands, dedicated to celebrating Web3 content creators who are educating the world about this emerging sector. Why are they doing it? The trio of Open Campus, Forbes Web3, and Animoca Brands believe that today's creators are the new educators. This is just what we were talking about, just what Confusion said in the comments. They provide essential learning on emerging tech concepts and their applications, opening doors to innovation and digital autonomy. This initiative leverages the combined media, education, and tech prowess of its hosts to honor those committed to educating others within Web3. We aim to identify the visionaries leading the charge in Web3 education. The campaign seeks exceptional individuals across various categories, from cultural and artistic impact to investment and financial insight, and everything in between. The search ends with the OC100, a curated list of leading Web3 creators to be showcased at a future date. Legendary, what are your thoughts on this type of initiative? Do you agree with that in principle, that creators are the new educators? And do you think we need these types of accolades, top 100s, top 50s, top 10s? Like, 2 questions for you there.
I do agree creators are the new educators. Main difference to your university being you get to pick your educator. You don't really have that options in most universities. You may pick a class, but very rarely can you pick the specific professor. Whereas, of course, you can pick your favorite creator, YouTuber, to be educated about whatever topic you're interested in. Funny enough, my perception of those lists completely has changed over the last decade. Like, I remember when I was, 20-year-old kid, my goal always was to be on that Forbes 30 under 30 list. Made it to the short list, didn't get on it, and then I realized actually all those lists ever since I'm in the Web3 space, not all of them, that's maybe too harsh, but most of those lists are not always necessarily reflective of what's going on and are nice accolades to have, but are not really a game changer on a personal level. So it's a nice thing to have. I do like the creator competition. I do like that it shines a light on creators, but I don't think that being on a top 50 whatever list changes anything about you as a creator.
So kind of 2 things there, right? It's yes, agree with the idea in principle. Do we necessarily need lists? Not too sure, according to you. Tira, I'm going to come to you in a second. Just want to set up for people wanting to figure out how to go about this. Phase 1 is in February. They're going to be looking at the gaming sector, content creation and storytelling sector, technical educators and developers. Remember, we're showing this on YouTube for people watching in. Phase 2 will be February to March, and they'll be looking at the sections community builders and leaders, entrepreneurship and innovation, investment and financial insight. And phase 3 will be March to April, cultural and artistic impact, social impact, and ethics. Legendary, which section are we falling in here?
Content creation and storytelling, creators who excel in producing engaging, informative, and creative content that educates and inspires the Web3 community is probably where I would want to place the modern market in.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy with that. That's fine with me. And I can see a whole host of other people in the audience who might like to apply So there is a bit of an application process. You need to like log in and do some stuff. And but I hope that's interesting to be across your radar, because maybe this is a cool list. Maybe this is one of the cooler lists to be on. I don't know 100%. Our lists necessary, not entirely sure, but maybe there could be some cool perks coming off the back of this. I wanted to share this with everyone. If you get in ahead of us, we don't mind. We don't mind. Just happy that you got in. Tiro, your hand is raised. Give us a quick thought. We're coming towards the end of the show.
I'll be very brief. Legendary and B-Check, you guys should be jockeying for position for this OC 100. You guys just hit 1,000 followers. Let's boom this up and get your application submitted. I didn't know there was an application process. I kind of thought they would just kind of do like a Forbes under 30 and they just kind of choose them themselves. But it looks like they're making us do a little work. I'll be applying. I know I'm not going to get it, but you might as well shoot your shot, right? And excited to see what they do and how the rewards or just the accolades in the social economics of Web3, just having that backing and being able to put it on your Twitter profile, put it in the Discord, stuff like that is going to be able to boost these top 100 people. And I think Animoca is probably the good overall arching project of which has money and is investing in Web3 and NFTs and gaming and all this stuff. To be able to kind of do this and act as the Forbes of NFT as a rag for information right now. So yeah, that's all I got. I appreciate it. You guys do a great job. The alpha of the day, when I wake up every morning, I get to look at B-Check's posts and it's all concise. It's written, well written, broken down. So I appreciate that every single morning. So I'll shut up now. Thank you.
Appreciate you very much, man. And thank you for joining us and saying nice things about us as always. And yeah, final conclusion on that is take a look, guys. Glad to have brought it across your radar. Take a look, see if there's any section you think you might be relevant in, because I see a lot of talented people in our audience and want you all to win. But that brings us to the end of the show. This has been a great show this Friday. It's been a great set of shows this week. Thank you so much, Legendary, for co-hosting with me. Thank you to all our guests, BSCN Gaming, Sammy, Kalano, Jack, Funky, Tiro, and thank you to all of you in the audience. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday and a good weekend. We will be back on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.